In these pages, you will discover Islam's goals and read what it has to say about itself. You will see how violent conquest, racist genocide, and the spoils of war established the doctrine and turned a failed prophet into a world-renowned profiteer. I recognize that these words are incompatible with the prevailing wisdom of our politicians, religious leaders, and media. Yet the evidence is unambiguous and ubiquitous. The truth is undeniable. Islam rises and falls on Muhammad. He is the doctrine's sole prophet, its lone founder, its God's singular conduit. Yet Islam's most revered books reveal that he was unqualified. By putting the Quran in chronological order and by correlating it with the context of Muhammad's life as it was reported in the Sirah, the Sunnah, and the Hadith, we find that Allah mirrored his prophet's character. The Islamic scriptures demonstrate that Allah was too dumb to be a god and too immoral to be divine. While that may sound spiteful, it's true. Since the world is awash in immorality and foolishness, I will strive to make this discussion germane, pertinent to our place and time. I will accomplish this by connecting the dots between today's terrorist acts and fundamentalist Islamic doctrine. But rest assured, I will not critique Islam based on isolated verses pulled out of context. I will not expose it based upon the deeds of its followers. Within most doctrines, there are meritorious words and as many examples of good deeds as there are bad. Such an endeavor would reveal more about me than this subject. Instead, I shall focus this entire debate on what the Islamic scriptures have to say about the character and the deeds of the religion's founder, his God and his companions, the original disciples in Christian parlance. But fear not, you won't be cheated. Islam condemns Islam sufficiently to persuade even the most ardent skeptic. If you're like most Americans, your defenses are raised the moment someone suggests that Islam might be responsible for Muslim militancy. You might think, as I once did, that all religions strike a balance between love and divine retribution, peace and punishment. But with Islam, that's simply not true. Their scriptures start out foolish, turn hateful, then punitive and violent. There is almost no mention of peace, tolerance, or love. We have been played for fools. And it was easy because only an infinitesimally small percentage of infidels have taken the time to learn about Islam. I wanted to know why Islamic terrorists thought killing us was good. Shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greatest, seemed like a confession, as did their parades. Muslims seemed ever ready to turn murderers into martyrs. Curious, I journeyed to the land of suicide bombers. There I asked a Mossad agent to arrange a meeting with members of 417, Arafat's secret service. This man, in turn, arranged for me to meet the actual terrorists, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Alaska Martyrs Brigade, so that I could ask them directly, eyeball to gun barrel, why they killed. He did, I asked, and they told me. It's Islam. The terrorists said, we are following Muhammad's example, just obeying Allah's orders. In my presence, blood dripping from their hands, they recited their prophet's speeches. They confessed, no, bragged, about those they had just murdered for the good of their cause. Now, more curious than ever, I found copies of the 5 oldest Islamic books and spent 2 years studying Muhammad and his message. What I found was bone-chilling. The depiction of the prophet by the most revered Muslim sources is horrendous. Nearly every page reveals behavior that is immoral, criminal, and violent. I soon learned how fortunate we are that most Muslims don't follow in the footsteps of Muhammad, that they don't know their prophet, their religion, their scriptures, or their history very well. If they did and followed Islam, the whole world would be enveloped in war. Over 1 billion people are slaves to Islam. The word means submission. Their scriptures order them to obey the prophet, cleric, and king. And as a result, Muslims in Islamic nations live with no freedoms of thought, speech, press, or religion. Unemployment, poverty, and despair run rampant. Every aspect of a Muslim's life is controlled by Islamic despots, Islamic law, Islamic scripture, Islamic education, and Islamic culture. Women are treated more harshly and awarded fewer rights than Americans give their animals. Muhammad gave men the liberty to beat their wives. Everyone is indoctrinated with the same message of religious intolerance, racial hatred, and violence. They hear it from their dictators, from their media, from their teachers and clerics. A collusion of influences has annihilated truth and shut out reason. With their words, Muslims tell Westerners that they and their religion are peace-loving. But this is because their holy books order them to deceive us. They are told to tell us peace until it's too late. America's president seems to have taken their bait, and the media doesn't seem to care. Yet Islamic history, both ancient and modern, shouts out an entirely different story. So which do you believe? If their words are true, why do you suppose they kill us? The answer is as clear as the skies over Pearl Harbor, as blatant as Blitzkrieg. What did the insignias on the planes and tanks tell us? People don't kill for fun. They don't attack without reason. They must be motivated to risk their lives for a cause. If the bombers are suicidal, death must be more profitable than living. Someone must inspire people to hate, train them, finance them, equip them, and help them plan their dastardly deeds. The culture, doctrine, and people that aid in the execution of terror must have something to gain from causing the deaths of others. And well, they do. Islam is all about power, control, and money. It has always been about power, control, and money. Terror isn't easy, nor is it cheap. The culture necessary to breed terrorists is extreme. It requires tight controls, total complicity, and years of unceasing indoctrination. If we wish to survive, we must come to understand Islam, a dogma capable of corrupting men to such a degree they believe mass murder is the ticket to paradise. Ignorance of this deception isn't tolerance. Acceptance isn't compassion. Appeasement will not lead to peace any more than accommodating the divine wind of the kamikaze suicide bombers would have advanced world harmony. All right, I've done a lot of talking. It's time I asked you a tough question. What do all the Islamic states that recruit, indoctrinate, finance, harbor, train, equip, motivate, and reward terrorists have in common? Too easy? Then I have another question. If the answer is so obvious, why is everybody afraid to say it? Our political leaders are sworn to defend us. The media's primary responsibility is to ferret out truth. The truth is obvious, accessible, and rationally irrefutable. So why? Why do we continue to fund our own funeral? Why do we frisk little old ladies at airports while we stand by and watch our enemies develop nuclear and biological capability? Why did we push Al-Qaeda out of Afghanistan into Pakistan, the only Islamic nation with nuclear weapons? Why did we fight a relatively meaningless megalomaniac in Iraq by forming alliances with the nations most responsible for manufacturing the actual terrorists who killed us? Who is responsible for this shameful state of affairs?